Welcome back to 1973 GMC Motorhome. This is episode number 9. I know this is dragging on here. We're not going to show all the installation of this today, but there's our fuel tanks back. They are pretty good in there. A little bit of staining and stuff like that, probably where some water hadn't dried, a little bit of flash rust, but those are nice and clean now. There's nothing loose in there. They've been repainted. That's all the hoses for the fill system. These are our sending unit O-rings. This is our new selector valve. And we've got 2 new sending units in there. So we're going to also put new hoses on. We're going to do all this today. In addition to that, we're going to recess those so they're flush with the floor. I'm going to use my multi-tool for that. And we're not going to see all that. The next shot's just going to be it all done, because what's the point in that? We got other stuff we want to talk about. So it's around 9:30. Let's see how long this takes. Hey, here's a quick thing. This little table was floating around the back. That's what that does. That was probably factory, because I saw that on another coach. It's a 73, so that's kind of a neat little table. We'll probably put a couple hole saw holes in there and make some cup holders. So that's that. All right, let's get this done. Okay, so I'm replacing fuel line underneath it. This is the vent line. You can see it's around there and then squish. The vent line was up there and getting pinched. So that's the vent line for the auxiliary tank. So I don't know what, it's not good obviously, so I'm going to re-rat that. Just a thing I noticed. And also we noticed that the exhaust is not connected right there, so we'll be replacing, sliding that back and reconnecting that. Okay, I'm making my countermeasure auxiliary tank fuel pump. This is the pigtail that'll attach to there. I can put my hot on that and then ground that. Then when this is energized and I go to the auxiliary tank, it will turn my fuel pump on, and that should help with vapor lock if that's a problem, I guess. This is what I'm told. So this is what I'm going to do. Hopefully I will never use that fuel pump and auxiliary, the auxiliary tank and fuel pump, because I'm never letting it go down below half a tank. So it's just a little something extra to have on there, I guess. So we'll see how that works. Okay, for this valve, this bolt here and that one there holds a bracket on that holds the old one on. This one I've had to drill 2 holes and I've threaded them, and this will go on obviously the other side of this frame, but I'll take a picture of it when it's all done. But that's something that needs to be done. I pre-drilled and then just tapped them out so they're threaded, and then we will put nuts on them and spray a bunch of crap around there to keep that from rusting. Okay, so that's bolted to the frame. That's my ground, and I've also got this grounded to plug into my fuel pump, and then my hot, same thing. So I've got my hot and my ground into that pigtail to plug into my fuel pump. So when this is energized, it should turn the fuel pump on as well. I've gone through the frame, drilled and threaded that. So that's a stainless bolt right there for the ground. So that should, this fits there. All those hoses up there are loose and move around, so nothing's scrunched. It's a tight fit, but that's done. All right, there's that one back tank back up in there. It's done, all nice and painted and nice and shiny. Okay, use my multi-tool to put that in there. Now that's nice and flush. Now I'll screw that in, and that's done. There's your Nice and clean, all done.
Okay, let's switch to the main tank. There we go. So now we're on main. That's going down. All right, we can shut this off.
And our floor patch is recessed. That tank is in, all new hoses. We've also got a hose going to the generator. Phew, so that's done. It is now 5:30, so it took all day just to do that because I ran into issues. I'm not getting power to the my brain's not working. I'm not getting powered to the fuel pump and the tank selector, so I need to sort that out. I'll do that tomorrow. Okay, so now where we're at, we've got both fuel tanks installed, both sending units installed, and they work. When I switch to auxiliary fuel, I'm not getting power to the tank selector, and therefore not getting power to the fuel pump at all. So now we're gonna do some poking around here. And on the back of this switch, the black wire is the wire that goes to the fuel selector that sends power to it. I'm not sure what the hot wire coming in is. I'm gonna assume it's pink. I was not getting any hot feed from that, but I'm going to confirm that that is in fact the hot wire by putting my meter on the switch, and when I engage it, see what terminal connects and disconnects from the black wire on the back of that switch. Okay, so you got a black wire here and a pink wire here. That's the hot, that's the wire that feeds the fuel pump and switch. So that's supposed to be hot, and that should be feed. So now we got to find out why that's not hot. This is impossible to do with holding this camera. Anyway, that's off. So we got power there. So now we're going to go back down and see if we got power. Maybe the connector's bad. All right, sidetracked. Got this key made. We're going to look inside this Buick trunk. It's always fun to see what's in there. Of course. Huh. Works in the door and oh. Oh yes. We have goodies. We got tools and a spare. Very cool. All right. I'll have to go through this. The good news, so if anybody's interested, a 1952 Buick uses the same key for the door, the ignition, and the glove box. And I use the glove box lock, which comes out with one screw. Took this to the locksmith and he made this key and it's opened everything. So that is awesome. Okay, well, so now we've got everything working. Our fuel gauge working, our pump working, our I ran a new fuel line down there. Did a bunch of stuff. I got my fuel tanks in, and so now I'm ready to take the initial drive. And I started up, and it was idling a bit high. And I went to just kick it down, and I look in there, and there's water spurting out the upper radiator hose. So I guess we're going to replace the upper radiator hose tomorrow, and then hopefully we'll be able to try taking it for a drive. Now, with 18 gallons of gas in here, I'm still showing just about empty, so hopefully that'll change at some point, but
I don't know. So, all right, so next scene I'll have radiator hoses replaced, and then we'll be trying to go for a drive. Oh, geez, the freaking hose here has got a hole in it. There's a hole in the hose because the hose was sitting right here, and it got chopped up with this right there, and they put this dumb thing on there. That's the stupidest thing I've ever seen. All right, well, we've got our spare hose, what I'm gonna put on here, that I found in the spares, and then I'll order new correct hoses from one of the distributors. All right, so that's the kind of dumb shit that people do when you don't buy the right stuff. So just go to Applied or Serum or somebody who's got the proper radiator hose that's completely out of the way. It's not anywhere near that. It's not going to hit the fan. It's lower than that, so it's not getting mushed. It's just completely exactly right. And that's the spare, which still looks good, so I'm going to use that temporarily and then order the new ones first thing in the morning. Well, I will say this for the old girl, she definitely runs nice. We got our new backup radiator hose back on there. We're going to spin it around because we're running out of daylight, so I can work on the interior tomorrow. A couple of those lights working. Tail lights are on. The side marker is on. That side marker is on. 3 out of 6. So it looks like we got a headlight maybe out. Oh, look at that. That's working and that's working. Both are marker lights. Well, that's something kind of good, I guess. Dash light in there is working. Our gauges lights are working. And we got a big light down there that probably needs to go back up in there somewhere. Next morning here. Shh, be very quiet. Wake up mama. I'll feed you. There's that guy. You ready for breakfast? Michelle's been working on these cushions. She's recovered them. That's what the dinette cushions are going to look like. There's her kick-ass sewing machine. Her stuff. Oh my goodness. Yes, Finney's garden. All right. Okay, process of elimination. We have replaced both tanks. We'll clean them and reinstall them. We've put in new fuel sending units. We've put in an auxiliary backup pump. We got nice clean gas getting to the carburetor, and after driving around last night and hitting it hard, stepping on the gas hard, that is. Anyway, it's still stalled, so it's the carburetor, and I'm sure that it's flooding out when I come back off it. The float level's probably off. I still have not rebuilt the carburetor. It's the last thing I have to do, so I'll do that. But I'm gonna switch over to some interior stuff because the interior is kind of out of control, and I want to get it cleaned up and start replacing some panels and things like that. Like this, for example. That's all. So I'm gonna start making some new panels today.
I'll probably put that back in there. I'm gonna replace this wood. This is what I'm gonna do today. I'm over mechanical stuff for the short term. I'm also, you know, the previous owners of these things, you never know what they've been doing. This is a complete wiring rat's nest, so we got to tackle that. But we're getting there. I'm comfortable that this thing is going to run fine. I mean, if I just take it easy, I can drive it all day, but it's after getting into it. So I know it's not electrical now. I know it's not having trouble getting fuel from the tanks. So we'll sort that carburetor business out later. That's the one thing I haven't done, is rebuilt that again. Anyway, that's it. You guys have a nice day.